Chelsea McKinney, creative director of DigiBridge Media, and helping entrepreneurs really understand what they do, what they bring to the table, what their differences are, their mission, their goals, and their vision is really what drives me to, be their support system for their marketing and help them bring that authentic story and who they are to the world, to their community. And yeah, I mean that's really my biggest thing and what we're here to do. So I'll let Chelsea introduce herself.
All right, thank you. I am Chelsey Albert, and I am an intuitive healer and hypnotherapist. So I'm here today to dive into, well, to put it nicely, all of the reasons why we don't do the awesome stuff that Chelsey's about to recommend, because it's marketing, and I struggle with this myself and have for a while. Um, is there's so much strategy out there. Chelsey's got some really amazing, solid strategy. And I find that in any industry, we can give the best of advice, um, but it's about taking it and putting it into action. So Chelsey is absolutely going to give us the awesome strategies and some really, really great gold nuggets. And I'm here to just say, hey, these are the gremlins that might keep you from putting it into action so that you can head those off, catch them early, and so that you can get the most out of this workshop.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. So, why this even came about in the first place? Because I mean, bringing somebody from marketing and intuitive hypnotherapist, little bit out there, but I met Chelsea at a Nashville networking event, and obviously just great energy, great person to be around. But what I loved the more I got to know her was that there was this idea of I kept hearing her say kind of these things that are holding you back, these beliefs that are holding you back, these getting out of toxic relationships. And something in my brain kind of triggered. I was like, we're kind of in a toxic relationship with ourselves, truthfully. And that's kind of how this came to be. I know that I personally struggle. And again, what's the irony of this is I struggle to put myself out there. It can be really hard to be like, this is who I am. And are people going to receive this? Are they going to be as excited? Are they going to get me? And I know that I'm not alone because I'm a bystander, unfortunately, to it with a lot of people that I talk to. They are the ones that are unfortunately holding themselves back. And I wanted to marry these two ideas of some people are just struggling, like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to market myself. And some people are like, I know, but I'm scared. I don't know if people are gonna, receive who I am, are gonna be cool with it. And a lot of times when people um say that, oh, I don't have time for social media, I don't have time for this, or I don't know what to post. A lot of times there's these things underneath that, and those are just excuses. So I really felt like Chelsea here could, so funny, I feel like I'm talking in third person, um, could really give us some insight into why. Why are we making these excuses? What's kind of bubbling underneath the surface? So
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys, yeah, willing to be here. And Chelsea, you're gonna give some great insights as well. I'm super excited for it.
Thank you so much. I can't wait. Do you want to? Oh, and you guys might get a little cameo from Piper the Hypno Cat. She'll just jump up whenever. Yeah, so if you guys wouldn't mind typing into the chat, what brought you here and what you want to learn. And that'll give us some direction as well as we're going through everything that we have prepared. Um, yeah,
Absolutely.
we'd love to know exactly what you guys are looking forward to. In the meantime, as you guys are doing that, Chelsey, do you want to take it away with
Yeah, absolutely.
point number one?
So, first and foremost, I think we kind of need to identify what the issues are. Um, a lot of times when people are doing these cookie cutter marketing, right? They're like, I want to help everybody and I am, everyone is my client. And they say this very generic language. And to me, that's a red flag because I'm like, you haven't done the work. And you haven't done the work internally and you haven't done the marketing work. So both to figure out who you are. What are you actually trying to do here? Who are you trying to help? Why? There's more questions there. And by being generic of, I like to pick on real estate agents, I'm sorry, but luckily nobody is one in here. But it's a saturated industry, and everyone's like, I want to help you make the biggest decision of your life. And you're like, and sell your house or help you buy your dream home. And I'm like, everyone is saying that. And so, what can you say that is true to you? And there are going to be people that identify with that and are like, yes. Um, I think Chelsey has also told me about this, about being overwhelmed. There's also this idea of being overwhelmed. And so you don't do anything. So you just kind of are like, I'm just going to do nothing to market myself. I'm totally stuck. I can't move. And then I think there's also this idea of, I'm just gonna do stuff and that's great. You're putting yourself out there and it's just like a mess. So there's a lot of different unintended strategies that people are just like, I'm gonna keep it generic, I'm gonna do nothing, or I'm just gonna do it all and I don't know. And so I think there's a lot of that. And I think there again is this underlying gremlin, as Chelsey likes to say. There's something there that we're just not willing to see. And I'm curious if you have any thoughts on that, of why somebody might be stuck or keeping it superficial or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, so I just caught in the chat that AL typed in as you were saying to kind of affirm what you're saying, not being sure where to focus. I have many interests and skills and I want to use them all. Yeah.
Mhm.
So as you were talking, what was coming up was a fear of being boxed in.
Mm,
Think that there's so much marketing speak around I need to have a niche. You need to have a niche. What's your niche? And it can really freak out the multi-interested people.
mm,
Um, and here's the thing, not all, I have yet to meet an actual living person who just grew up operating on teddy bears and now is a doctor. Like they do exist, but there are very few people who fit into one box all of their life.
yes.
We
Yeah.
all, the idea of a niche, um, and I'm hoping that maybe you can shed
Yeah.
some light on that too, because there's a fear of being boxed in. There's a fear of like, okay, yeah, but I'm also this. Yeah, but I'm also this. Yeah, but I'm also this. And to focus the marketing down feels like it's leaving out an important piece. And whenever we feel out of alignment with any parts of ourselves that we do
Yes.
want to feature, it
Yeah.
just feels gross in all cases. If I was to say, hey, I'm Chelsey, I'm the pink-haired hypnotherapist, yes, yeah, but then there's so much more to me. There's so much more to me. I have a nerdy side. I love the Lord of the Rings. I love all of this fun, goofy stuff. I curse like a sailor, which I think is how we bonded, actually.
Yeah,
And,
probably.
and so it kind of feels almost disingenuous to leave any parts of that out. Can you speak to
Yes.
how to incorporate that into your marketing without going too broad?
Yeah, so there's a few layers to that. I think first and foremost, I want to start with the idea of your target audience, because oftentimes I hear from a marketing perspective, well, I don't want to leave anybody out. I want to appeal to everybody. And I get that because I've done that, right? I consider branding and getting to understand your brand as it's like a layered approach. You start with the superficial and then you really have to go, okay, no, we peel away that layer. All right, how can I dig deeper? And you keep peeling away the layer. And the first thing is, yeah, people say, hey, I want to appeal to everyone. And when you go out and network and you're doing generic kind of marketing like that, people like be like, I don't know anyone. Believe, even though we know people, right? But you have to start specific and then other people will come to you. And so I'll give you an example. I like to work with mission driven, passionate, visionary entrepreneurs. I often say these are solopreneurs. I say these are people that do not have a marketing team to support them. And the more specific I get about, and I can drill in even deeper than that, but for the sake of time, um, but I still attract these other people. But because I get more and more specific, like if you're like, you know, I'm a CPA, and if you're saying I'm trying to work with everybody, that's not going to work. But if you're like, because everyone knows a CPA, right? An accountant. So you need to get more specific and drill in and say, well, I'm looking for small businesses in Rutherford County that, are restaurants that are, because then people go, oh, wait, I know a restaurant owner in Rutherford County that whatever. They said now they actually need a CPA. That sounds crazy, but it's the truth. People need to hear specifics. Oh, I know a person in that industry. I know a person with that personality. I know a person within a single mom who does it. You have to get specific so people go, oh, wait, I know somebody. That's one thing. And it feels weird, but I promise you, the more specific you get, the more opportunities you're going to get because people then are listening for those key words. So hopefully that answers that part.
And so to your point on that one,
Okay.
would it be would it be correct to say, because I'm thinking about how to defeat this gremlin right now, being like boxed in.
Yeah.
Are you stuck with the niche? How long should you stick with the niche until you decide, okay, you know what, it's time to move on?
That's a great question. I would say there are times when I've doubled down on something and went, this isn't working. And I mean, quite honestly, it's kind of there's a lot of experiment to it. That's true for anything in marketing. In social media, you kind of have to experiment what's going to work, what's not. And sometimes you're like, I want to work on this week. I want to attract, construction companies. And I want to do this. And then like you're not really getting any traction there. You're like, actually, I decided I don't want to work with them. I don't really like that industry. Or it's not really getting any results. Like people in your circle, like I don't know anyone like that. I think if you're just not getting a lot of response or any response, it's crickets, right? Then it's like, okay, maybe, or maybe then you do get somebody that fits that description. And you're like, actually, that really didn't go great. I didn't really like that. It's okay then to go, you know what? Actually, I'm going to focus on dentists now, you know? Um, Granted, if that makes sense for you, I'm able to be flexible because of marketing, but some people cannot go that crazy in their in their shifts. But it's okay to get specific and say this week I focus on construction workers and next week I focus on dentists. It's okay to also do that as well. Now, again, you don't be flip-flopping because then your messaging could be a little bit different, but I think you try something out, stick with it for a little bit, and then you'll get that feeling. If you're really listening, and I think that's where intuition is going to really kind of come into play. Are you really listening and paying attention to those red or green flags of is this working? Are things picking up, or is it kind of have I halted to a stop? So I think that's something, pay attention and listen. Is am I gaining traction from going in this niche, or am I losing people because of it? Yeah,
So gremlin, so in that case, so I can say this gremlin breaking tip, then be
yeah,
fruitful with it.
yeah,
You are not stuck in a niche.
yeah,
So if you try a niche and it doesn't work, or if you try focusing on one skill that you want to showcase and it's just not gaining traction, you are
yeah,
not stuck. You're
yeah.
not trapped.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I think I've been scared of that before. 100% of, oh my gosh, like so I have a branding agency and we offer everything under the sun, right? We got social media, we got video, we got graphic design, and I got worried. I'm like, are people gonna get it? Like that we have this full service thing, and I got scared of being in a box. I think people kept trying to put me in a box. People like, you need to focus on one thing, and I was like, no. That my one thing is creative direction. I'm going to give you creative direction for your marketing. So also think about maybe expand the box a little bit. If you're like, so a case of AL, she's like, I do photography. That's my big box here, but I do headshots, I do branding, I do travel. And like, don't put yourself in that one box if you're like, no, I offer these things. But I mean, don't go so widespread that you're like, in Chelsea's case, if she was like, I'm an intuitive hypnotherapist and I'm a realtor, don't, that's just way too confusing. And like, unless we can
Damn, I was
find
gonna try that next.
uh, you
Oh,
have a great
okay.
personality, but I don't know that real estate would be.
No,
Um,
no.
but yeah, so okay, wait, let's see what's in the chat here. I don't want to, let's see. Yes. So I think that's also important too, focusing. And so AL said, I find I know more about what I don't want than what I actually do want. And I think that's important too. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, Chelsea, but I think I've also just been in through the exploration phase. I've been doing this business for, I have had my business for 3.5 years. I am now just fully accepting that I need to put myself out there. And this webinar is part of it. I have decided I need to put myself out there. I need to stop hiding. Um, yeah. But thank you. But part of that, and I'm not saying take 3 years to do it, please, learn faster than me. But part of that is an experimental phase of what do I want and what do I not want? And it took me a while to figure out what I don't want and what I do want. So I think sometimes people don't have that clarity right away on what they want, and they need to peel away the stuff that is like, I don't like it. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, Chelsea, on that.
Yeah, and then I think there's something brewing in the chat as well that might lead us to our next.
Oh, yes.
Um, yeah, I would say yes, know what you don't want, but don't get stuck in it. I think sometimes it's really, really easy to actually let that kind of seep into discouragement of, okay, well, I don't want this person. Well, I don't want this person. Well, I don't want this person. Well, I don't want that either. Um, go through, go through and reassess, do like an inventory of the people that you know that you don't want. Good, got it, done. What specifically don't you want? And then if you can find one thing that you do want in each of those people, you'll be able to actually kind of derive a list of what you want from the things that you don't want. There's at least something good in everybody, even if it's only that they had the money to pay you. That is something. I want somebody who has the money to pay my fees. Thank you. Okay, by all means. Or I do want mission-driven people. I just want people who are organized about it. And all of start pulling out. You can actually derive a what I want list from at least one quality of everybody that you found that you don't want. So
Yes.
that will keep you from getting there. So Joel, let's see. Okay. One, AI tools to help pre-plan marketing or remove the need to be on camera. I'm super curious about the removing the need to be on camera bit. That's me.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I want to, let's put a pin in that one because I like this train that I do want to address that, but I want to address the next 2 points. So, Aon, and then Joel, your next thought. Um, so by putting yourself out there, what I like to get stuck on phrases and I kind of repeat them and realize may not make sense to everybody. What I mean by putting myself out there is when I was starting up this business, I was like, okay, I'll go network on my website. I have social media posting on occasion. By the way, I completely hear the irony in all of this marketing company. Got it. But um, you focus on other people, right? So I had to do this in stages because there's such a learning curve to becoming a business owner, right? And there's so many things that you have to do. And so I was like, let me just get my footing. Let me figure out what makes sense to me. Let me just get in these habits of networking, right? All that stuff. There was a lot of mental obstacles there. But what I mean by putting yourself out there is that eventually I was like, okay, let me get a regular cadence in just posting, not my face, just posting content. And then now I've recently been like, all right, let's get my face out there. So, I mean, doing branding photography and getting that on my website. doing a webinar. I mean, you know, doing reels where I'm talking on camera. That could be really scary. Some people are cool with it. Chelsea's totally cool with it. Some people are and some people aren't. And I think I'm always behind the camera. And so I'm like, okay, I just have to accept that I need to put myself out there. I am the face of this company and I have team members, but I need to kind of show everybody that I'm walking the talk, talking the yeah, you know what I mean? Like I'm
Walking the
actually
talk,
following
walking
my
the
own
walk,
advice,
talking.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean. I mean, being consistently being like, yep, I am proud to be the owner of this business. I am, this is who we are, and just own it and show up confidently in all aspects, networking, on social media, on your website, wherever you need to be. So that's what I mean by putting yourself out there in any way, just kind of publicly being like, this is who I am and this is what I'm about. Um, do you have anything you want to add to that, Chelsea?
Yeah, the camera hesitancy and the myth of putting yourself out there. 'Cause
Hmm.
it is actually a myth. There's so when you're if you were to go up to anybody and try to talk your friend up, you do a pretty good job at it for the most part. Just about everyone here has a friend that they'd vouch for in a certain way, either for an interview or for a dating site, what have you. You'd be able to talk about your friend and say, look, this is a great guy, great gal. You really want to meet them.
Mm.
And somehow, the second we get it connected with something that we've created, like a business, or the second we put it in connection with ourselves, that's where
Mm.
we get all spooky about about putting ourselves out there. That's when it
Mm.
feels like there's a risk. The interesting thing is most people don't care. By the time, and I say that and it's gonna sound really, really callous, but by the time that you've gotten to a point where people will start criticizing you, it means that you've already gotten a big following. It means that there's enough people out there. Most people out there don't really have the time to even type in something unless they're just really angry, very, very sad, miserable people, in which case they are not the people you want anyway. And sometimes they're even just internet trolls just looking for anybody to criticize, and they would find something to criticize about anybody. So there's much less of a risk of putting yourself out there. I think as business owners, there's a big fear of what if somebody doesn't like what I've created? And it's a devastating fear, to be sure.
Mm.
But the I think the mental exercise that actually comes from marketing and the healing that comes from marketing when you get into a consistent routine is you get over that fear.
Hmm.
It's almost like you actually almost have to do Chelsea's step before my step is you can do all the healing you want, but some of the healing is just going to be the action. I'm scared to do this and I'm going to do it anyway.
Yes, that's so true. I call it kind of exposure therapy in a way because I'm like, the only way, like, I get nervous sometimes to do a reel or something. But yesterday, I didn't even hesitate because I saw something that I was passionate about, and I didn't care that it got like 5 views. That wasn't the point. I didn't follow all my normal rules about what's like a hook. I was like, I gotta get this message out there because I saw something that was a big no-no, and I had to get it out. Because if 5 people see it, maybe I help them. And I think the more that and that's weird. That was very out of character for me. Okay, I'm glad you saw it, AL, so thank you.
I
You were
need to
one
go
of
look it up.
but I'm telling you, the more that you do it, and part of the gusto that kind of overcame me was passion, but it was also because the more time I spend just post it, just do it. The more that I've been doing that from personal experience, I've been like the walls are kind of breaking down in my brain. I'm like, I don't have those excuses hitting me so hard. It's becoming more second nature now to do the post. Just, you know what? Maybe it's not optimized and all those fancy words I like to use. But you know what? It was important to me in that moment that I get it out there. And if I helped one person, then great. So I don't, unless you have anything else to add, Chelsea, I
There,
want, sorry.
there's just one person coming to mind, Ryan
Yes.
Reynolds.
Oh gosh, yeah.
For the Mint Mobile, look, hey, love him or hate him, he is standing up for his phone company. And what it does is, even if it might make, like, I'm sure there are people who are going, Ryan Reynolds has a phone company, what the sell out, or anything like that. There's going to be people who criticize, but what I do notice it builds is I have an instant connection with Mint Mobile, which I wouldn't even remember otherwise,
Yep.
because I have a face to put to it. Now, it's not,
Mm,
to answer Joel's question coming up, I think it's going to dive deeper into that. Um, but I will say for myself, everybody everybody takes a risk when they put their face on camera, which means that, okay, how's let me backtrack that. Let me retract that.
absolutely.
Um, is it really that big of a risk? The people who are putting themselves out there are all we see, so we see a lot of it. But you got to know that there's a much bigger fraction of the population that hasn't even gotten to where you're at. They haven't even
Mm,
created anything. They have a bunch of inventions, they have a bunch of really great ideas that they will never act on.
hmm
So you are already in a much higher ring
mm.
than anybody else is. And
Yeah.
it's you are marketing to them, they are not your competition.
Yeah.
So while their feedback as customers matter, their opinion of you as a business owner does not. I
hmm
have bought, let's face it, I am a slave to Amazon. Thinks, no matter what people think of Jeff Bezos, I will buy from Amazon. Why? Because my opinion of him doesn't matter.
Mm, that's fair. Um,
Now, I would recommend being a Jeff Bezos or being like, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying though. There's a fine line, right? Like you need to be authentically yourself and not and really try not to let that inner critic, because I'm guilty of that all the time, that inner critic being like, you know, you're not good enough, you're not worthy, who's gonna care? That's the biggest one is who's gonna care, right? But I promise you, the more that you drill down into this is who I am, and that story piece, that's where you're really going to find your people that are gonna be like, I do care. Because there are some times when I'm scrolling and I mean, these people have like got the most specific niche I've ever seen in my whole life. I can't even tell you the weird stuff I've seen, but people eat it up. It's like hyper specific. And there is a huge audience for it. And I'm like, how? But it exists, I promise. Now I do want to go back to Joel's original point. So AI and digital tools to help pre-plan marketing or remove the need to be on camera. Now, so I know, Joel, that your new venture that you're getting into is going to be heavily AI focused. And so there might be this instinctual thought that everything needs to be AI driven, because of the tool that you're going to be using is going to be propelled by AI. My thought is, I know we want to be efficient with our time. I know we want to be effective and we want to utilize these amazing tools at our disposal. And we can have a whole discussion later, Joel, about different tools. But what I want to kind of come back at you with is, AI is great. It's a really great tool, and resource, but we have to be careful of losing the personable aspect of being a business owner. I think people still very much connect with people. I mean, that's why even you're seeing AI generated videos of people. I think because they used to be a little creepy, but they've actually gotten a lot better. And I think that piece for right now is not going to go away. And we still very much need to see Joel talking about his product and talking about his service that he offers because I like Joel. I want to see what Joel's talking about and I want to know what he's got to offer. And maybe not everyone's going to like Joel. I know not everyone likes me, and that's fine. And so your people are going to want to know what you're up to, what you're offering, showing you using the tool, showing you using the feature. So, yes, there are ways to do it with AI and be off camera, but I would challenge you now that, with video is kind of king right now. And we really do need to be okay with being in front and being seen. And so I would say there are marketing tools to schedule out and make things more efficient and, ChatGPT and other things to help you with efficiency, right? But I want to say that I would challenge you to think about how you could still show up and be the voice and the face of Paymentum of your service. So that's all I would say about that. I don't know if Chelsea want to add anything to it.
Yeah, I had an interesting conversation with a friend a while back. And here's the thing, I don't know anything about you, Joel. I don't know what is the layer underneath the question for removing the need to be on camera. But I had a conversation with a friend, and he works with a lot of construction workers, and he's a computer guy. So he, for lack of a better term, he looks and he talks like a guy who works with construction guys. Like, and he's absolutely like, he doesn't have the conventional look. And he looked at me and he said, "Well, of course, like you can be on video." And I was like, "Look, A, thank you for the compliment, but B, construction guys don't want to talk to me. They don't want to talk to a girl with pink hair. They want to talk to someone like you who looks like he understands them." So
Right. Hmm.
when it comes to being on camera, there's always going to be somebody who has a problem with your look. There's always going to be somebody who gravitates towards your look. I do not look like Chelsey. I do not look like AL. None of us look like each other, and that is why I think it's so important, Chelsey, for us to be on camera, especially now, because in this growing world of AI, people are starting to crave knowing what's real. And
Yeah, I saw an AI generated video the other day. Didn't know it was AI, and I was so disappointed in myself. Anyway, but
and it
um, but I did want to, and I feel like Chelsea, you could speak a lot to this. So I hear this a lot, and I also think it sometimes where I'm like, it's so vain. When I did my branding photos, I was like, oh, I feel so vain of like having me being like, everybody look at me. And I get that. And it's the same thing with being on camera. You're like, oh, I'm so vain. Like, who's gonna want to see me talking? I think it kind of used to be that way, but that's where branding really comes into play because it's all about how you talk and how you message what you're doing. My website is not at all about me. I'm just there as kind of like a, hey, here's who you're working with. But the messaging there is here's the people we're looking to help and here's what we could do for you, and it's really about the client, it's really about their experience. And when I'm talking on camera, it has nothing. If I was like, hey everyone, so my day today was like this and I'm really amazing, like, okay, yes, that's super vain and also super fake and you can hear it, right? So like I think it's all about how you structure it and just show up with the energy of, I want to help somebody with this. And some people might be like, why is Chelsea on camera talking? Ew. Or great, so then bye. Or you're like, oh, that was such a useful tip, or that was so funny, or that was so educational, whatever it is. So yeah. I mean, I think it's important to just nowadays you kind of can't get away from it. You have to be on social media and you need to be showing up as I'm the proud owner of this business, of this new technology, right? Or whatever it is, and be like, this is mine and this is the face of the business. And if you don't like the face, I can't change it. Sorry. So I think that's something to think about on a deeper level. And of course, we can always talk about other tools separately, another time. Really, right now, I want to focus on the mindset piece. So,
So one is just to backtrack a little bit because I might have glossed over this, but everyone is, especially everyone who is real. The attractiveness and perfection um,
yeah.
are not purely visual, and we're seeing that because of AI. We're seeing these robotic faces that look just a little too good, and
Mm,
it actually, so humans are wired to sense what's real. We sense the little micro expressions that come from emotions that can only come from layers of experience and layers of lived experience. You cannot fake humanity yet. I say yet. Um, but my friend who works with construction people, he is handsome in his way, and he is handsome because of his authority and his way of
Mhm.
speaking. His, there is beauty and there is handsomeness in the way that you, just like Chelsey was saying, the way that you show up. A
Mhm.
good hack for this, and this will get you out of your mind. This is actually something that my hypnosis instructor taught me. He calls it H plus. And what that is if you were to close your eyes and imagine somebody that you love in a platonic way, a brother, a sister, a parent, a child, a dear friend. Imagine somebody in your life that you want nothing but the best for. You wish nothing but good things for them. You want them to succeed. You want them to grow. You want their business to grow. You want them to feel good about themselves. You want them to feel good about what they're doing in life. Yep, I see it on Chelsey already. There is That's the energy. Imagine them sitting in front of you and not even having to say a word, just looking at them that way.
Right. Wow, that's
Before
great.
before you hop on to any sort of social media post, before you take a picture just for fun,
Hmm.
get into that state of I am talking to somebody that I want nothing but the best for. That will get you off of your vanity, off of yourself. Oh God, what are they looking at me? What are they thinking of me? What are they doing this? No, I just want to help you.
Hmm.
And that will help take you out of your head and give you that something that people are looking for from social media, that connection.
Yeah, no, it's so funny. I notice it more and more. The people that show up with just emanating energy and confidence, it's something you have to, if you're not born with it, you kind of just have to learn it, and they can show up, and if they got this kind of radiant energy, excitement, and they just like own the room. Like I know some people like this. It's like I, I'm just like, wow, they're great. They could almost say anything, and I'm like, they are just the coolest. So I mean, it's really just about like the energy that you bring, and if you kind of like show up and like, hi, I don't really want to be doing this, and sometimes I have to fight through that. Sometimes I'm pretty like, hey, everybody, and I need to, it's something I'm like, no, I'm excited to talk about this. So
And you know what? I would even argue there is a little bit of a trick to that. If you are not feeling it, come through all of your not feeling itness. Lean
hmm.
into like, okay, you know what? I didn't want to come on here and post this today, but this just got me. Like,
Yes, that's what happened to me yesterday when I did that video. I was driven by this passion to tell a silly tip. But okay, so I want to go to Joel's thoughts around messaging directly from owners' profiles versus company profiles. So okay, so I think what how I'm understanding this is, and Joel, you can let me know if I'm right or not. Um, so if I'm like on DigiBridge's Facebook and talking as DigiBridge's Facebook versus Chelsey, is that what you're talking about? Okay, thank you. Okay, so you need to create a persona for your business. It's called like, like a brand voice. And for me, it's basically me, right? Given that, but I have to consider I have a team. So what are overall are we trying to embody? What are our values? Are we quirky and fun? Are we serious? So think about like if it's just you, then it's you. But if you've got a team, you have to think about what is this overall, and I'm not saying a persona like you're putting on some kind of front. I'm just saying like what who are you as a collective thing or who are you as a business? And I have to say, my personal side is a little bit different from who I am personally. And it's not that I'm like being fake. It's just something about me. Like I've got this really like just a very different approach to these sides of my life. And so speaking as the DigiBridge voice, it's fun. I like to use emojis. I like to be sassy. I like to be a little quirky. So it's like kind of me a little bit amplified, um, if that's possible. And and then I think when I'm speaking as Chelsey, I'm a little bit actually more toned down. In a way, like I think I'm a little bit like sassier as DigiBridge, and then when I'm Chelsey, I'm kind of a little bit more even keel. So I think you have to figure out what your brand voice is and stick with it. So again, is it using, are you going to be using slang? Are you going to be whatever it is? It's going to be just how you kind of talk. And so there could be very much a difference. Again, if you're kind of done the work to figure out your brand voice, and we can talk about that further. Or if it's just you and you're like, I just want to be, Chelsea, the business owner who owns DigiBridge Media, and it's one and the same. But also too could affect like your languaging. Like, are you saying we or me or I, a they, whatever your pronouns want to be for the business. Um, so I know for me starting out, it was a little bit weird when I was saying we, but then I started to build a team and I really meant we, there's a bunch of us. Um, okay, so hopefully that answered that question and we can always talk about that further. But um, so creating your story, I think that's a really great thing that we can touch on. I always start people with values, and I have a process of figuring out what are your values, core values, what are your strengths, and I mean your unique. Only Chelsea does these things. I know that I have a really keen sense of attention to detail. I can pick up on patterns and I can ask questions that you won't see, and I can give you an outside perspective that's going to change how you view your business, right? There are these unique quirks about me. And I'm sure Chelsea has the same things that she has her Chelseaisms. I don't know if you got anything you can rattle off, but you can see the gremlins, right? You see the underworking gremlins, right? Right?
Yep, that's my skill. That's why I see the unique Chelseaisms. I was actually talking with some friends about this last night. I can't not play. I can't be serious for too long. I can't even get a straight headshot of me just frowning. Even in my sessions, unless it is in the client's best and highest interest to just be straight serious, there's going to be at least one joke cracked throughout the session. There's going to be some element of laughter, some element of goofiness, and I can't not do it. I can't not for so I can't that's the tap that I can't turn off.
Right.
So, and that is, I think you're right. I think if there's something there's something and before I met you, I hadn't even really thought of some of those quirks that
It's
could.
subconscious. I'm telling you, it's subconscious until you really write them down. Because I was like, yeah, why am I always the person in like these meetings when I was working in like a normal 9 to 5? Um, I was like, why am I always the person like this? I'm just spouting out ideas and everyone just kind of looks at me like all weird. And I'm like, oh, that's my one of my things. I'm always just, I don't care if I sound silly. I'm gonna throw out ideas after ideas and let's talk about them and let's figure out what actually will stick and make sense for you. But I'm always gonna be generating like that's just a thing. But that not everyone does that, right? So that I would say start with values, start with what are your unique strengths that only you do. And then figuring out that target audience that we talked about, really dialing into who are my people. We kind of went through that at length. And then how can I put that into a narrative? And I have a process for that. And we can absolutely talk about that, but I would say start there, really dialing into who you are, and that'll start to give you clarity on okay, so I need to lean into my strengths. I need to lean into my values and people that will appreciate these strengths and values. And then there's more layers to that, of course. But I would say start there. And then I think it'll start to give you some more clarity. Cool. Awesome. All right. Anything else you want to add to that, Chelsea?
No, that I mean that is I couldn't have said it better myself. I'm
Awesome. Okay. So, I think I want to talk about at this point. Actually, that's a perfect segue. So I would also consider what are your personality traits that you bring? Again, that's very closely tied to your strengths, but think about the personality strengths or traits that you have that are just different. Again, I'm always cracking a joke. I can sometimes people don't love that, and I guess that's why we also bonded, Chelsea. But I can't be serious for too long. I like to have fun. I like to, maybe offer, whatever it is. These are certain personality traits that you bring to the table, and some people are gonna love that, and some people aren't, and that's okay. That's okay. So actually, I would like to ask you, Chelsey, how do you deal with maybe some rejection, or maybe you're talking to somebody and you're realizing this isn't, and or maybe energetically, you're like, ooh, they're not getting me. I,
Yeah.
something's off.
So I've dealt with that for pretty much all my life. And it's more the rejection that I've gotten has been more of a sense than an outright. I will get the side eye, I'll get the like, oh, okay. Like it. Um, and one of the things about being a healer is sometimes you can see people when they don't actually give you permission to see them, which can be very uncomfortable. Um, and how I've learned to deal with that is really those who reject, it's an automatic self-sorting process. Those who reject you are really not your people. It's,
Yes.
I wish I could put it in a more profound way, or I wish I could give you a tool to win over the people that are not, but they're just not. And
No.
I've learned to operate my life in a sense of efficiency rather than go back to what you were saying. I think that's also how you start niching down and how you start getting comfortable with your niche
Mhm.
is being okay to say, like, those are actually not even the people I want to put my focus into. Those aren't even the people, if you talk about business, especially, you want to hammer down on the things that work. Yes, I'm sure I could be a brilliant accountant if I wanted to. I don't want to. I'm not going to put my energy there.
Yeah.
So, putting your energy into the people who do click with you, um, how to deal with that rejection. Let me it's a deep and it's a layered question because some of us
Mm,
have deeper rejection wounds than others.
mm,
So for some people who are having trouble marketing, it might be that the wound of rejection goes deeper for them than some other people. Um, it might be, I don't have a terribly deep rejection wound. I have a very deep not being heard wound. So
mm,
my fear of
yep.
hearing crickets is much, much worse than my fear of getting a troll.
Hmm.
Some other people, it's the other way around. Some people have been rejected in their past. Some people have had really deep wounds of abandonment, um, or betrayal. And that can keep people from putting themselves out there because, well, if I put myself out there, I'm going to get stabbed in the back. Um,
Hmm.
so really understanding, okay, is this about marketing or is this about something deeper that I need to heal? Because when you
Yes.
heal that deeper thing under the surface, the marketing will stop triggering it.
Yep. Oh, 100%. No, absolutely. I've had to do a lot of, I mean, even just us talking, like, I've had to do a lot of, why is this bothering me so much? Like, what's really going on here? Because I was making those exact same excuses. I'm like, well, I'll do it for my clients, but I'm like, I'm good. Obviously not. But right, like you have to like, oh yeah, I'll make excuses. I don't have time. And I'm like, no, I know subconsciously, I'm like, I have to do this. I have to do this. For many reasons, I have to do this. And I'm not. Um, and I want to address, so Al had a really great point of if you got a sense of levity and humor, how to keep from not being taken seriously. So I've had this happen a lot, and I've had to go through this process of as I'm out networking in particular. In certain rooms, I'll be cracking jokes and I'll say something a little bit. Maybe I did miss, and I say something a little not the smartest, right? And I will, and it's not super well received. And I'm like, ooh, I'll beat myself up about it. Like, oh my gosh, I just said the stupidest thing. These people do not take me seriously. I can't believe this. And I learned from that. I'm like, okay, you know what? This wasn't my place. They didn't get me, and that's fine. Either some of the people maybe cracked a smile, and maybe some of them were like, I don't like this girl. And that's the people I don't want to talk to. I absolutely show up bringing humor with everything that I do because I don't know how else to operate, truthfully. And the people that want to have levity and because I'm not curing diseases. Everything I'm doing is not, it's not, I actually, at a previous job that I loved, they would always say like, "This isn't life or death." Like it was a marketing company, and they're like, it's okay. Like relax." And I loved that because it's true. If people, some people are in really serious professions, and they got to take it seriously, and there's not as much room for joking around. But I'm not joking about what I know. I'm not joking about any serious issues. Like I've had people tell me some crazy stuff. They lost money. They trusted someone that didn't get back to them. They were ghosted. I don't laugh at those situations. Anything serious, I'm like, I am so sorry. I can't believe you went through that, and you're empathetic to those things. But I think you find a time and place to, you know, like someone's like, oh, I just don't want to, I'm so nervous to do social media. I'm like, same. Not in the way of like, I'm like, I get it, man. Like, you don't want to put yourself out there. I get it. And you can joke around and be a person. You can be a person with them. And I think that's something that I learned the hard way being in these rooms with people is I'm like, why is nobody a person in these rooms? Everyone's being a robot. And I'm like, I can't with this. Like I was having to dim my light, you know? And I think Chelsea can speak to that very well of when you're trying to lessen yourself or dim yourself, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I'll offer you this. Comedy is serious. The reason we laugh at comedians is because it's dead serious to them. They're talking about like this, and yes, they're saying it in a funny way, which is the only reason that it cracks through. But have you ever seen a comic that laughs at their own jokes? It's not as effective. So, one, levity and humor, um, at a recent kind of understanding, um, and this is going to go very morbid, but just go with the metaphor here.
Okay.
Kittens, kittens and puppies play because they're learning how to hunt.
Huh.
There is a real depth that you can get to through levity and humor. You can't, because like Chelsea was saying, when you're trying to dim your light, when you're trying to say, look, I am really serious, you end up talking in this monotone voice, and it goes in one ear, out the other. You crack a joke at something that everybody else wanted to say,
Mm,
all of a sudden you wake that person up. You
yeah.
get the truth to them in a super dose.
Yeah.
So never underestimate. I use levity and I use humor as a cloak. I use it to sort of weed out the people who don't take me seriously. Cool, you think I'm just Chelsea the clown over here? Cool deal. You'll never get the power that I offer.
Mm,
Those who can see it, those who appreciate the joke,
yep.
those are my people. Again, it's a qualifying system, and you can use humor in such a deeply serious way.
Mm,
It makes you 10 times more effective. So never shirk levity and humor. It's
yeah.
powerful.
Oh man, that was good. No, that's so true. I mean, yeah, I actually it's actually a good way to qualify some leads, right? If that's part of your personality and they are just not on the same page with you, like whatever you want to go, energetically, personality, like if you guys are just not seeing eye to eye and they're like, you're a putz, like if they are already seeing you as kind of less than, then okay, like that's on you. I wasn't trying to do that. That wasn't my intention. And if you're seeing something else, okay. Let's not work together. Because you don't need people taking you that way. I've learned that so the hard way, unfortunately. So so that's a great question, and then I could definitely appreciate that. All right, so we actually are kind of coming up to the last couple of minutes here, and I super appreciate you guys hanging on and asking some really fantastic questions. Do we have any more kind of pressing thoughts or questions?
I mean, I've got just a little bit more time if you want to
Oh,
go
we can hang around
over,
for a minute. Yeah.
if there was anything that you wanted to cover, because I know that you had some really, really bang on bullet points that were super powerful. So is there anything else that you had?
Yeah, I think to kind of round this out, I really want to touch on owning who you are, but first figuring out who you are. So starting with Again, what are my values? What do I bring to the table? Who is Chelsey? And really trying to doing your best to have an outsider's perspective, which can be really hard. And maybe even ask some people who know you really well, because I've actually done that before, a partner or really close friends. And sometimes I'm surprised about what they say. I'm like, oh, really? Like some people will just like pay me the nicest compliment in the world. And I'm like, even some people where I'm like, I just said the dumbest thing in the world, like ever. And they'll be like, I just thought you, I actually said someone told me recently that I am all that and a bag of chips. And I was like, wow. What a great compliment. I was not anticipating that. And so sometimes your view of yourself may differ from how other people see you. So I'd actually encourage you to kind of poll people around you. Like, what do you see as my strengths? What do you see that I kind of do that's a little bit different? Even poll maybe some of your great clients that are like they just gave you a glowing review and you're like, hey, I'd love to, maybe just survey you if you know them well. And what did you think? And what did whatever, whoever you're comfortable with, just getting that outside perspective. Um, and then really understanding who your people are, that is so important, and really weeding out the jerks, right? Um, Using your personality, using who you are to weed out the icky. And then I feel like those are the main takeaways here. I want you to just kind of understand that that inner critic is really what might be holding you back from being the face and owning your business. It may just be, okay, I'm ready to own it, but I don't know what to do. And if that's the case, then I would just encourage any of you guys to book a consult with DigiBridge Media. I ask all the questions to make sure that I understand where you're at and where you want to go, and how we can support you through that process. And then when you're ready, giving you that step-by-step strategy. So I'm always here as a resource. If you go to digibridgemedia.com, you can always book a consult and we can just chat. And yeah, and I know you had some other more specific questions, Joel, so we can always chat as well, about some different resources. And I'll bring it back to you, Chelsey. So.
Yeah, thank you. And this was so fun and informative because I struggle with the strategy. I'm fine. Like you just tell me what to say and I'll say it, but I don't know what to say. So thank you so much. This was so fun, Chelsey. Yeah, I think my little bow tie on everything is question. Question those gremlins. You don't have to punch through them. You don't have to force your way through them because that's going to kind of feel forced to you. But every time that you hesitate to hit post, or every time you hesitate to hit record, or every time that you type something up and you're just like, "Meh," just question what's really going on here. Is
Yeah.
this something that I don't feel agrees with me? Okay, cool. If it is, then reword it, redo it. If that doesn't feel like you, don't push play. But if it's calling back to a earlier fear of rejection, of betrayal, of maybe this getting too big and oh God, how am I going to handle it? Maybe it's the fear that nobody will hear this. Um, just question it. Say, okay,
Hmm.
because the thing is, these fears are all trying to help keep you safe. Very sweet of them, very misguided. And if you question them enough to say, okay, look, what are you trying to really protect me from here? Well, I'm trying to keep you from making your business too big. Cool, great. I can actually handle it. Thank you. Thank you, Gremlin. Thank you, hesitation. Thank you, little negative voice of criticism in my head. Thanks for doing your best for me, but I'm going to go a different way with it. Almost treat those self-critical voices like they were your employees. Really, really, like, the zealous ones that have this really great idea. Hey, boss, I have a great idea. How about we not? And you can tell those voices, cool, thank you, but I'm going to go a different direction. if you are having trouble doing that and you've got a self-critical voice that is just not letting you go, definitely give me a shout. I will post my information in the chat, or you can go to the flyer that advertised and you can follow us on social media. But if you've got something that is just not letting you move forward, then book a free consult with me and we'll chat.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Chelsea. I really value your time and your input here because I think we all need kind of a reminder. I think we all need a little wake up call of those little gremlins. And I appreciate that. So thank you all so much for taking this time on a Saturday. And we'll also have a recording of this, so you'll also receive that as well in case there's anything you want to revisit, be reminded of. You need a little Chelsea in your ear telling you, get back out there. We'll see you around.
Thanks, guys.